We are at a moment where government basically around the world is in a muddle. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means and how that muddle unpicks. But essentially, you can see it in Britain. There's an enormous sense of paralysis and disappointment and a sense of broken systems. And that is where global returns is very powerful and very helpful, because the 6 organizations with which they're working are unbelievably well-focused and effective organizations that really know how to achieve change.
Rory and all our speakers are here to encourage every one of us to pledge our support for the Global Returns Project's portfolio of charities. This year, GRP is doing everything we can to raise £1 million before the 31st of March 2026. We will distribute every pound of that money to our current 6 charities.
They're blue chip organizations, they're organizations that you can trust, which is important in the world, but they're also extremely effective. Now, bigger space. The biggest space, I want you to think about the world since 1989 in 4 main dimensions: politics, economics, international relations, and media technology. And the story that I'm about to tell is essentially a story about why climate and the environment is now at a particularly acute moment of crisis, why your work is more important now perhaps than it has been at any previous point.
So I'm Tim Lenton. I'm going to speak for a little bit about, bad tipping points in the climate first, but then try and cheer you up and talk about positive tipping points and how the change we need can become self-propelling, and we can all play a part in that. Because we stand here in a world that's already 1.4 degrees centigrade above what we call the pre-industrial level, and I have to report we've crossed the first big tipping point in nature and the climate, which, as we've seen in the last 2 years of unprecedented heat waves in the ocean, the widespread dieback of over 80% of the world's coral reefs. The message is pretty simple. The window for preventing these kind of devastating outcomes is rapidly closing, but the message is we can all be part of that action. Rory spelled out beautifully how the rules have changed, but actually it's empowering for bottom-up actors. We have, as he put it, we have a stronger role to play now, to come together, to amplify each other's actions, to start the change we need.
Here, today, the value added provided by these organizations is much, much higher, because they are now charting an extremely important, lonely course, calling for urgent, courageous, evidence-based action in the context of a government that at very best has lost direction and lost will, and a public that's beginning to lose conviction and energy. And yet, the science evidence hasn't changed at all. If anything, the profound, horrifying impact of the climate catastrophe is becoming more and more evident to us day to day. And the gap between the problem that we see and the nature of our response has never been wider. Which is why we are incredibly grateful that you're all here today, and which is why I hope that you continue to be as loving and as generous and compassionate as you have been and will continue to be in the future. Thank you very much indeed.